Let's get right to it. You made some statements in the summertime, political action to prevent Trump from being re-elected. What have you done? Have you raised money? Have you set up a group? What action have you taken?
So a number of different things. First of all, I've been in, there's 11 swing states. Since I made those statements in August, I've been traveling in 2 swing states a week. So last week I was in Ohio and Michigan. The week prior to that I was in Pennsylvania and Florida. And so, yes, I'm putting a PAC together. We're going to be announcing the PAC and the fundraising for the PAC early January.
What do you think you can raise, realistically?
Well, I'm looking to raise a couple of $1 million. I'm not looking to go crazy. I think this is surgical. For me, I think we have to go into swing states and explain to voters how damaging the policies are and how damaging the personality is. And so we'll be doing that. And I'm excited about that because I think you saw at the World Series game 2 nights ago that the president's living inside of a bubble. And so when he comes outside the bubble, I think he'll realize that there's a lot of people out there that don't like the style, the content, or the personality. So I'll be working on that very hard going into the next 8 to 9 months.
Okay, so that's the active plan. From the Democrat side, we're seeing Warren streak ahead in these polls coming up to touch Biden. Which of them do you think is going to be the most substantive contender for the title of the Democrats, first of all?
So I think it's very unclear still. I will point out that in 2003, Howard Dean was the front runner. He was the hot dot at the moment back in that period of time. 5 weeks after that, I think it was December 1st, they said he was the guy that's going to be the nominee. He lost the Iowa caucuses, and John Kerry went on to get the nomination. So I think it's very difficult to see who it's going to be right now. I'm a Republican. I'm imploring my Democratic friends to please pick somebody rational, somebody centrist, somebody that has the capability to understand the economy. This nonsense about socialism and universal health care and things that the country can't afford, it's not going to help anybody, and it'll plummet the global economy. So we got to avoid that.
Are markets, in your opinion, even countenancing a Democratic victory in any way? Let's say from Warren. I mean, there's been a lot written about her, but that seems to be where the worry is.
I don't think the markets are foreseeing anything other than the status quo right at this second. Having said that, I do think that there's a risk premium involved in the markets now as a result of Donald Trump. Trade uncertainty, unpredictability of strategy, the general push on the Federal Reserve. Market participants are not in love with the jawboning of the Federal Reserve. So there's a combination of those things which has raised risk premiums. You know, talking about Skybridge for a second, we're in our most defensive position. The company's 15 years old this coming March. And I would say that we're in our most defensive position that we've been in the last 15 years. Our beta on our overall portfolio is 0.1, which basically means if the market goes down 30%, we're only going to get hit by 3%.
Are you putting more money into cash? The most amount of money is running into cash since 2008 on the money market.
Yeah, mostly into structure, not cash. Mostly into structured credit, whole loans, real estate, syndicated loans, trust preferred securities from the community banks. But I just feel that we're late in the cycle. Heavy deficit spending, uncertainty about trade. It's not impossible that we have a situation where we get a recession 12 to 24 months out from here, and so we're preparing ourselves and our clients.
Okay, one of the risks on the political front is obviously impeachment. I caught up with Rick Perry the other day, and he said impeachment issue is going to go away within 6 months. What do you make of that?
Okay, so I see the opposite of that. So that's and I saw Secretary Perry last night, so we had a jovial conversation about it. But I see the opposite of that. I think that the president is imperiled. I made a prediction in August, which I'll stay with, that he will not be the Republican nominee come November. I don't think it's going to be possible, given the level of lawlessness that took place and given the depth of the testimony and the widespread nature of the testimony, unless the United States is now going to accept that certain people are above the law, which I predict the United States is not ready for something like that.
But if the House votes for impeachment, do you really think there's a risk that the Senate would go against Trump?
I do, because I think that there's a tremendous amount of information that hasn't come out yet. And once that information comes out, I predict that will be a water wall of lawlessness from the president, a result of which it will force him to
What makes you so sure of that, Anthony?
Well,
what do you know that we haven't found out yet?
Let me put it to you this way, and I said this to a couple of people that are close to the president. He had one call with Zelensky. We saw a transcript that was transmuted a little bit. It wasn't the most definitive transcript as we're learning now. But my rhetorical question to my friends who know him very well, do you think that's the only call that he had of that type over the 3 years that he was in the White House? And so I'm very certain that that's not the case. And I'm sure stuffed into that private server, that super secure server, is more damaging information. And I think what you're seeing now is the president's bullying style and his intimidation style is weakening, and I think people, myself included, don't really care what he's saying.
Well, we know your position. We know that
you got a Purple Heart recipient that's about to testify this coming morning in the United States, in Washington, to talk about that call and the nature of the call. So it's no more of where is the whistleblower. These are people that were in the room, not hearsay. These are people in the room that heard the call. And so my thing is, it's not just that call. There's many other things. And there's a fitness issue here as well. And so if you're in the military or you're in the Congress, you have to look at the thing. You have to ask yourself honestly, am I going to put my partisanship and my political self-interest ahead of the country?
Okay, and those are very, very real issues, and we will discover more in a step-by-step process. But I suppose there is the argument from the other side that the Democrats are wasting political capital by pursuing this impeachment road, really, when they should be much more focused on challenging Trump at the ballot box on different issues. Yeah. Is that a fair criticism?
I don't think it is, no. I think
Why?
Because I think if you look at the facts of the situation, lawless activity has happened. There's been a breach of the Constitution. And I think that if you are a responsible citizen and you believe in the check and balance system, and that nobody's above the law in the country, then they have to pursue this.
Let's get your view in terms of the America's view of Saudi Arabia at the moment. How does U.S. business view Saudi Arabia at the moment?
Well, I think we're constructive on Saudi. I mean, I think our feeling about Saudi Arabia is that there's a process of reform taking place. However jagged that reform has been, there is a process. If I kill the fly, do I get a free Bloomberg?
We go viral if you kill the fly.
If I kill the fly, do I get a free Bloomberg terminal?
Keep going. No, there's nothing free. There's nothing free.
Right,
I want to know what Congress's view of Saudi Arabia is.
So I think that at the end of the day, I think that there's been a jaggedness to the reform. I bet there's been things here in Saudi Arabia that people are concerned by. But by and large, I think Americans like myself are very optimistic about the forward relationship that the Saudi community is going to have with the United States and the rest of the world. And it's demonstrated here at an event like this, but it's also demonstrated in the progress that they're making on social issues. So for me, I have a lot of clients here, a lot of families that are clients of mine, and I'm a fan of Saudi Arabia.
To close on the line, how much more is the fund up by? You hit just under 10 billion. What's the number now?
Yeah, 10.4. And we're growing again, and we're about to launch a series of new products. So the best news is if you stay out of politics, your assets go up. If you're in politics, your assets go down.